Well, hello there, creative community, God and Gigs, friends on YouTube. I am Alan Paul, and today we are talking about my five biggest mistakes as an entrepreneur as we are celebrating 5 years since my book, God and Gigs Succeed as a Musician Without Sacrificing Your Faith, came out. And I want to help you avoid the mistakes I made as I built this brand, this community, as me and my wife, Leah Paul, who was on the podcast just yesterday that we released, talking about this same thing, but more from the positive side. She's so positive. She was nice to me. I'm going to be open and share my mistakes, the things I wish I had done, the things that I don't regret, but I look back on and I think, man, I could have made better decisions. And I want to help you as a creative entrepreneur, someone who wants to build a better life from the inside out, to do the same. So if you're watching this on replay, I'm checking real quick to make sure we see anybody that's jumping in live right at 2 o'clock. And I know sometimes you can't do that. So if you're watching this on replay, go ahead and type in replay in the comments and I'll know that you got a chance to see this. So I'm going to jump right in to this little discussion, this training, this confessional, as you might call it, on telling you why I made some big mistakes as an entrepreneur, as a creative, as someone building a business at the beginning of God and Gigs. So, as I'm speaking right now, this is the fifth anniversary. The book that I'm referring to, God and Gigs, came out in September, officially September 6th is the date that it came out in 2016. That's crazy to think. We have so many, things that have happened in our world, pandemics and other things in the last 5 years that it's hard to imagine that 5 years ago things were that different and that fast, how fast things change. But it's true. And the reason why it's so important to me, obviously, I don't mean make this anniversary like it's a big deal to everybody, but it does mark that something that I have built and worked on for 5 years has lasted and stood the test of time. Many businesses, many books, many things don't last that long. And so I'm thankful to God, number one, thankful to my wife, and thankful to this community for helping to make that happen. Even those of you who might be watching right now, you've rocked with us the entire time. The Kickstarter that we did to even fund the book was before 2016. So that actually goes back almost 6 or 7 years that we've been working on this. So it's a blessing. Thank you so much for helping make this 5 year anniversary of the book. And then the podcast, the God and Gig Show, came out 1 year later. So shout out to my friend Christelle Renee, who was our co-host back then. And we just went for it and we built this thing. So I want to tell you how we kind of, avoided some mistakes, but then also how we ended up making those mistakes that could have helped us avoid a lot of stress, a lot of struggle in the first 5 years of God and Gigs and this project and this platform. So I'm going to start right from the get go. And when I started thinking about this, I started thinking, okay, what could I help somebody avoid that really got me, just messed me up at the get go? And the first thing, and I think I should type these in even as I go, just because, I know some people are visual. And even if I talk about it as we go, it might help you also to remember them. And then you write them down if you watch this. So this is the first one. I'm going to type it first and then I'm going to talk about it. And this one, I mean, it may be not the most important one, but it's the one that sticks out the most. And so here we go. Let me just pop this in here. This is the first issue that I had the most. Gosh, shiny object syndrome. So if you don't know what shiny object syndrome is, it's the entrepreneur and the business person's desire to immediately buy anything and get anything that looks like it makes anything better about their business. And it doesn't matter what it does, as long as it's shiny and it's new, we're putting it in the business. We're going to buy it. We're going to get a subscription. And man, if I could take back all the money and the time and the focus that I put into shiny objects at the opening of our business. Now, that does not mean to say that I should not have invested in my business. I shouldn't have gone for things that make our platform. I mean, obviously things like I'm so proud of our logo, 5 years that we spent even, since then. Thanks out for sound art, Becky Fernandez, long ago, setting up the book and setting up all these things. And so there are things I'm glad I invested in. So let me not say it as if I shouldn't have invested. What I mean is there's a lot of other things that I bought and got that I really didn't need. And it was just because I saw somebody talking about it, or somebody else had it, or somebody else's website had it, or some other musician was using it, or some other creative was using it. And I was like, I gotta have that. My website needs to look just like theirs. My stuff needs to look just like theirs. My shirts and everything else. I just kept jumping from ship to ship and from boat to boat. As soon as I saw something riding down the other side of the river, and 90% of that stuff, even in the last year or so, I've been chopping up, taking off, giving up, realizing it didn't make my business or my creative life better. Now, there are some things, again, that I realized I could invest in and that could have been a lot cheaper and I could have saved some money if I had done it a little different. But my attitude was, I got to spend more money. I got to get it. I got to get this. I got to get that. And not realizing that, number one, it kind of did waste my money. I did spend a lot of money on things I didn't really need. And then number two, it was time and focus to learn those things, to learn these gizmos and gadgets and web plugins and the top level of this. And I always thought, and this is probably what this comes down to as I'm sharing this. And again, if this kind of strikes you or helps you, go ahead and say, yeah, that's me. If you ever had shiny object syndrome in your life, then admit it. We're all friends here. Go ahead and let me know if this happened to you as well. Okay. So that was number one. Shiny object syndrome hit me hard. It still hits me once in a while. I still feel somewhat weird when I'm going live like this. And, I see other people have all cool stuff. I love Restream because it lets me look really professional. But there's other things that people have on better cameras and things like that. And you know what? I want you to learn from my example. Um, don't just jump into shiny object syndrome and get things because they are. Look at being frugal, but not being miserly. Be frugal. Don't not invest in your business, but also don't think you need all that you think you need because you really don't. And that's what I learned even as a entrepreneur. The first big mistake I made. Second big mistake I made, and again, this is like confessional that I'm telling you. So you are also confessing today with me as we celebrate the fifth anniversary of the book and the fourth anniversary of the podcast. If you got a confession or something that you've got like, oh God, I wish I had not done X, go ahead and put it in the chat even as we're talking here. So the second thing is another one is kind of like a mindset issue. And I'm going to share it. And it kind of goes two ways. And I was like thinking how I'm going to talk about this. But this is how I would say it. I would say that I did not plan for success. And what I really mean is I didn't really plan. But what really hit me is that I didn't, as a beginner, I thought obviously I was going to be successful, but I didn't have the mindset of what to really aim for. So success for me might have been just, okay, well, I sold 5 books, or okay, success for me is, oh, okay, I got 10 people on the podcast. But my mindset wasn't on growth. My mindset wasn't planning to see this as bigger than what I thought it was. And my mindset kind of kept it really small. So what I'm telling you is that I feel that my big mistake was not thinking big enough. I guess that's a better way to say it. I didn't think big. I didn't have a big enough vision for this. And sometimes that limited my growth and it limited my ability to see what was possible because I was always putting it under my own lens. I didn't really get a lot of, I had mentors, but maybe I didn't take advantage of those mentors. And so it really, really affected me in my mindset to think, oh, well, it doesn't need to be that big. Oh, well, this many people came and just kind of like just making it like a just enough mentality. And I didn't plan for success. I didn't think in terms of how big things could be. And when things were successful, I was like surprised. And that was the wrong way to look at it. If I had gone in with more of a growth, abundance mindset, like this could be whatever God wants it to be, and not necessarily leave it in my own little box, I probably would have made a lot more headway. And it doesn't mean that I would have made, tons more money, although that's possible. And it doesn't mean I would have had a huger audience, but it does mean that I think I did. I've always believed in slow and steady wins the race, but I think sometimes I almost took pride in how slow it was growing. And that's kind of like the wrong way to look at it. Like it could be as big as God wants it to be. And I could have planned ahead and thought ahead to say, hey, what if? What if it's 1,000? What if it's 2,000? What if it's 10,000? Plan ahead and think, what will I do? Because it would have opened and expanded my planning. And it certainly would have made me more capable of accepting, even if there was a slow growth, it wouldn't have been something where I was in the wrong mindset. That's what I really am trying to say here. So that's number two. Okay. Now, number three, this kind of hits a little hard again because it's something I should have known right away. But this is going to hit a lot of you creatives right in between the eyes because it happened to me. And this is what it was. It was not having a business plan. Like, why did I not, you know? And here's the thing. Now, when I say no business plan, I certainly did like sit down and kind of like map out, okay, here's the vision of the company. Here's what I want it to look like. Here's, my vision and goals. I kind of did that. I did write down, okay, this is the basic business plan. What I really mean when I say business plan, I mean like how am I going to make money? How am I going to make this sustainable? What's my income? What's my expenditures? What's my overhead? I didn't spend any time on those details. And here's the problem. Not that I want you to get wrapped up in numbers or that you need the CPA every second, but you really do need to think of whatever you're creating as a business from get-go. And if I had thought like that, if I had said, I need a business plan, and I really want, let me go back here and make sure that I have today's topic here as well. Um, if you had, if I had done better with that, of what am I going to be spending? How much am I going to be spending? How am I going to keep this going beyond just, okay, passion? Because yes, I had the passion. But if I had done a lot better with this, it would have been such a more, what's the word I'm looking for? Organized growth process. It really would. And by the way, if you're watching it on the chat, again, I'm letting you know, be honest with me. If you have one of these mistakes, if you've dealt with this, if you did not build a business plan when you started, then don't let me be alone. Go ahead and share it in the chat. Even if you're watching on replay, go ahead and share it in the replay chat, and I'll know that I wasn't alone in this. And my mistake was thinking I could just like, oh, the business will make itself up. Once things come in, when I'm making money, then I'll make a plan. That's a mistake. That was a mistake. I should have made a plan even before there was any income, because had I done that, it would have been so much better. And that would have made my planning for when money did come in, it would have changed my mindset to what products really need to be expanded, which things really. Now, I did a lot of planning. Again, this is not that I didn't do planning, but specifically financial. Maybe I should make that indication. Financial planning is the one that I did not necessarily do. And I'm seeing a lot of people popping in and popping out. I'm worried only that I make sure that my sound is working. But as far as I can tell, everything is good. So if you're watching, give me a thumbs up if sound and everything is working. And that's always nerve-wracking when I think people show up and they can't hear. And they're like, oh, well, this guy moving his lips. And nothing's actually happening. So let me know in the chat if I'm okay with that. I might go in and check real quick. Okay, so I got through three. Okay, let me just go back and remind you of what they were. Number one was shiny object syndrome. I absolutely struggled with shiny object syndrome, buying everything that I thought I needed, every course, every little thing. Again, not actually, I shouldn't say courses. Courses were important, but every little like plug-in for my website, every little thing like $5 here, $10 here, just, oh, it's going to make it pretty. Oh, I want to buy this app and this app and this app, instead of focusing on what really worked and what really mattered. The second one was not planning for success, because I kind of just had a small mentality. And if I had thought bigger, I might have gotten bigger. And even if I didn't get bigger, I would have had the right mindset. And then third, no business plan. As I told you, I didn't really focus on the financials. I kind of just made it up as I went along. I wish I had a more mindset to really think like a business person, income and expenditures and profit at the beginning of the business, even if I wasn't making any money, because it wasn't about that. It was about my mindset of thinking I need to be a good steward of what's happening. If I thought that way, probably would have been better off. All right, we're down to number four. Okay, and this one is a big one as well. If this happened to you, just say, yeah, that's me. And I'm going to put this kind of like, it kind of goes together, but I'm going to just say this. I'm going to say it like this because this was a big one. And that's not following up. And when I say not following up, I'm talking about things like people who called, connected with me, and I just got too many things in the fire, too many irons. I was like, oh, I want to get back to this person. And it literally left customers, people that might have been my best customers, people that were wanting to be a part of my stuff, leaving them high and dry. And I did that. I did absolutely left customers, people that might have been connected with me. I got way too distracted and I ended up kind of leaving them behind. And I feel horrible about that because I'll never know the impact I could have had I been more specific about following up with people. And by the way, this is not just a business thing in terms of creatively. It is also a thing when it comes to collaboration. People that have, ideas for your brand or ideas for your goals or ideas for your music or ideas. And we get into the, oh, I'll call you and we'll talk, and then you never do. Like you say, we're gonna songwrite, and then you never do. Say, oh, we're gonna like get together and we're gonna like start to like work out some things, and you never do. Creators were very bad at this. We're very tempted to kind of like just say, oh, well, this is what happened. And we never intentionally go and make it happen. So I don't follow up with people and then it falls through the cracks. Don't let that happen. Don't make the mistakes I made over the last 5 years of not following up. If someone says they're interested in your work, call them. If someone says they're interested in working together, find out if it works. If it doesn't, then you can always cancel it later after you try it out. But don't let collaborations, customers, or creatives slip through the cracks like I did. Got too busy, didn't really focus, had a million things going on, and it ended up being a huge mistake in my creative life because I did not follow through with that. And by the way, once again, if you're watching this on replay or you're watching live, let me know if I'm helping you at all with any of these 5 biggest mistakes in this anniversary edition of our podcast. 4 years of the God and Gigs show and 5 years since God and Gigs Succeed as a Musician Without Sacrificing Your Faith came out, by the way, which is still available on Amazon. Go to godandgigs.com/books. You can always find all the links, Kindle and iBooks and everywhere else that you want to find it. Still available, still helping people after all these years. Quick shout out to everybody that's in the book. God rest and bless the family of Paris Bowens, who's one of the huge influences in the book and helped write almost an entire chapter. Sobering to think that this Thank God was written so that he could share his knowledge in written form. I don't know if he's in any other books. So that is sobering and a blessing to know that his wisdom lives on inside the book, God and Gigs, as well as all the people who are still with us. Christian Dentley of Take Six, Camilo Vilandia, who shared, Greg Johnson, Dwayne Bennett, Charlene, aka La Vie. Who else am I forgetting? There's so many people in the book, I can't even remember them all. But definitely check that out. Let me see what's going on over here. Oh, Tobias, good to see you, brother. I know you had to jump in, jump out, but that's cool. Good to see you. All right. Let me get to number 4. I said number 4, not following up. So here's number 5, the last big mistake, as if there were only 5 mistakes. But this was the 5th big mistake. And this one, again, kind of goes along with number 1. But this definitely was, and again, I'm typing it live so you guys can see me following through and being honest and, just telling you what really happened. Oh, I didn't spell that right. Not staying focused. I need to write that again. Let's try that again. There we go. All right, now I don't know how to typo. See, mistakes. There you go. Perfect example. Mistakes. So I had a big issue throughout the 5 years of, kind of goes with shiny object syndrome, but more just being focused on the work at hand. As many of you have heard, I've said in the podcast, I don't, parade around saying I have ADD and it's, it's okay. And I don't use it as a badge of honor, but I also don't hide from it. And I don't use it as an excuse. I didn't stay focused on the things that mattered as an entrepreneur, including my mission and my purpose and my vision and my business. And sometimes that ended up becoming the biggest problem because I would float away, try different things. And I didn't realize that if I just stayed focused on my core mission, which is to serve creatives, to help creatives to be more confident, to live out the life that they wish they could, to be the best that they can be. If if I had worked on that, focused on that, instead of getting all these other things that kind of got in my way, I would have had a better business over the last 5 years. I would have been a better creative, and I would have, and there's so many things that go along with that. Like, I don't mean that you shouldn't focus on other things as you might be a multi hyphenate creative. I just mean that your core of you, who you are and what you are about, needs to stay at the center and the top priority of your life. What I feel like happened to me is that I definitely at times wiggled and got kind of just off kilter in terms of what really mattered. And it affected my business, it affected my growth, it affected me personally. And now I look back like, that was a mistake. If I had just stuck with what I knew. And at times, of course, I always came back to it, thank God. But it wasn't a consistent thing. There were times that I lost focus. I want to encourage you to stay focused on your core goal. If you don't have a why, find your why. There's a book I just read called Start With Why. It's an amazing book. And it kind of reminded me like, yeah, I lost my why several times. I got a lot done, but my why got lost in it. And if I had stayed connected to that why I do what I do, I wouldn't have lost any time or any focus. I would have been I would have been further ahead right now. Again, I'm not looking back with regret, but I want to share with you what would have helped me to do even better so that you can do the same thing. So that's the 5 mistakes I made, biggest mistakes I made as an entrepreneur, as a creative entrepreneur. If any of those 5 hit you, if you're watching this later and you're saying, oh my gosh, me, shiny object syndrome, or me, not staying focused, or me, never even thought about a business plan. If any other things hit you and you need more help with that, I really, really, really would encourage you. Think about joining our membership, God and Gigs 360. It's a free trial of that available for 30 days. And the reason I'm putting it is not to lose focus, not to sell you something, but to really provide for you accountability, community training, and support. We call that the ACTS, right? ACTS. 5 things that I wish I hadn't done are the 5 things that you can get inside 360. You can get the people that will help you to avoid shiny object syndrome. You can get people who will help you to remain focused. You'll get people that will help you stay accountable to your business plan. So all the mistakes I made as a entrepreneur, I tried to solve in God and Gigs 360. And so if you want to check that out, I'll go ahead and type that in for you. If you want to go look for that, all you got to do is go to godandgigs.com/free trial. And go ahead and register and sign up, and you will be able to get it for 30 days free to learn about the community, to jump in, to find out what's going on around there. And again, this is a community I wish I had when I started this 5 years ago, when I wrote the book 5 years ago. I wish I had this community. We have Facebook, we had different things, but we didn't have something this robust where we could connect on a weekly basis and really get to be completely confident as creatives. If I had that, things would have been a lot better off. So I invite you to check that out, godandgigs.com/free trial, 30 days free to kick the tires on the membership, and then join our bi-weekly member calls. Just did one. We can also get courses that are involved, like our live stream course, and we're building other courses all the time. And we are always encouraging each other and helping each other to find the answers that you can't find on Facebook or on YouTube. You can find them by connecting with other highly motivated creatives. So always want to make sure that you know that's available for you. godandgigs.com/free trial. That's it, guys. Thank you so much for letting me share with you my mistakes, even as we celebrate the anniversary of the book. Once again, available everywhere. If you want to still check it out, it is still available. And of course, I want to say thank you to everybody in this community who's been a part of the God and Geek show. Podcast 129 is out. That is one with my wife. Finally got my wife back on the show. So that was a blessing to let her tell you what her experience was living with me as a creative, crazy, running around trying all these ideas, and then eventually finding what really worked for me. And so I want you to check that out, godandgigs.com/129, the God and Geek show on all podcast networks. All right, guys, thank you so much, creative community, for jumping in. Everybody on God and Gigs, Facebook, and on YouTube, thank you for joining us. Make sure you subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, so you can be there for the next creative checkup. Whenever we go live, we want you to be a part of it, and that you can become a better creator from the inside out. And again, if you watch this on replay, you watch it all the way to the end, go ahead and share. Let us know that you saw this. Tell me what your biggest takeaway was, and I would love to reach out to you and to share some more guidance with you. So even if you want to join up with our mailing list, you might want to do that as well. You can find out how to do that at godofgigs.com. All right. God bless you guys. Have a wonderful Labor Day weekend. Be safe out there. And we'll see you for the next Creator Checkup next Friday. God bless.